Hey y'all, it's me Cecilia. Welcome back to my channel. So today what I'm going to be doing is I kind of realized I haven't posted a reading wrap up since March, and I kind of wanted to show you guys what I've been reading the last like 3 months. I've read 17 books. I think I wrote 6 books in April, 6 books in May, and 5 books in June. So I'm going to go through all of them. I'm going to actually do this I'm going to start from no rating to 5-star, just because that's how I feel like doing it, since there's so many books. First ones I'm going to start off is my no ratings. I read, how the hell do you pronounce this? Gleipnir? Whatever. Volume 1 and 2 by Sun Takada. This is a weird freaking manga. I don't know how to explain this. It's basically, there are these two characters. One can transform into a really creepy looking mascot, and there is a girl who gets pretty much naked and gets inside of him when he's in mascot form to kill aliens / demons. It's weird. It's weird as hell. I don't know. I read the first 2 volumes and I was like, I'm good. Next I read My Brother's Husband Volume 1 and 2 by Gregoro Tagame. And I was really disappointed with this. Everyone has hyped this up saying this is the best manga series and oh my gosh, it does so much. But honestly, it wasn't really good. So if you haven't heard of this manga series, it basically takes place of, shit, I don't remember any of the characters' names. But there is this dad. He's kind of like a stay-at-home dad, and he has this cute little daughter. He had a twin brother who got married in Canada to another man, and in Japan homosexuality is kind of kept in the shadows, frowned upon kind of thing. And his brother's husband, the title, came to Japan to kind of meet his family and to visit Japan after the death of his brother, or the death of his brother's, the family member connecting them. Oh my god, I can't speak. Why I didn't like this, why I didn't think it was good. The English translation was fucking choppy. I don't know if anyone else has read this, but this English translation was the worst English translation of manga I have ever read. And I've read quite a bit of manga. I felt like it was extremely choppy, every single page, every single panel, to the point where I just didn't want to read it. Like, it was just, maybe it was just whoever translated it just needed to flow better, or maybe it was just how it actually was written in Japanese, but I won't ever know because I can't read Japanese. It was just really choppy. It really took me out of the story and really made me not enjoy my time reading this. I also thought that the premise was okay. The themes, I understand their themes are very helpful. There was a lot of repetition. I understand that our main character, he's kind of borderline homophobic and he gets better throughout the series, but all of the thoughts he has, I felt like it was way too much, to the point where I was like, alright, we fucking get it, dude. We understand. You literally had this thought 10 pages ago. It was just really annoying how much repetition there was. The characters were cool. It was underwhelming. I don't think this is a good manga for people to start off with. If this was the first manga I would have read, I would have never read another manga because I really didn't like this. Next thing I read is If They Come For Us by Fatima Ashgar. This is a poetry collection and I thought this was alright. I don't remember much about it because it's a poetry collection, and I can't remember a poem that really struck out and spoke to me. So, but it was fun. I recommend it. I think it was interesting. This one I read was You're in My Secret by I Morgana. This is a old manga, or the first volume in a manga series. And what I remember about this is that we have our 2 main characters, a boy and a girl, and they're basically switched. It's a body switching story. They switch bodies and fall in love with their best friends, which was really interesting. I actually liked seeing them fall in love with their best friends, but it kind of got to the point where I don't know, I like the volume, but it's an old series. I believe it's out of print, and I just didn't want to hunt down the rest. Like, I didn't love it enough to go hunt down the rest of the volumes. Alright, the next one, which I really, really, really liked, was Toradora Volume 1 by Yuki, oh my god, Yuyuko Takemiya. Wow, I suck. It's late at night, we'll let it slide. So we have Ryuji, and he's basically learning, like, people think he's very scary because of the way he kind of looks. He has a resting bitch face taken to the extreme. Like, he looks at someone and they think they're literally going to kill him. And that kind of gives him a reputation that he really doesn't like. So he has a crush on this girl named Minori, and one day he runs into Minori's friend, who is this short, cute little petite girl named Taiga. And she is evil. She loves to yell at people, gets in fights, and basically they kind of he finds out that Taiga is actually has a crush on his best friend. So they kind of team up together to basically win over the crushes. And in the process start to fall for each other, and it's so freaking cute. I only read the first volume, but I'm really hooked on it. I want to keep reading more, but I was going to go and get the rest. But literally the rest of the series that has come out, someone checked out from the library, and I'm like, bro. So I'm just waiting for them to be available at my library, but I'm really excited about those. Alright, on to my 2-star reads, because I didn't read 1-star reads, which is good, but these are all shit, so that's fine. My first 2-star read is Binti by Nanetia Corafor. I don't know if this is unpopular, but I guess it's kind of hyped. So basically, this is a novella, and we have our main character. Her name is Binti, and basically she's one of the first person from her people to be accepted into this really pristine university. And she gets on the spaceship to go. She's kind of very hesitant because she knows her family will not accept this, and she doesn't know what her future will lie. And she gets on this spaceship and shit happens. I'm not going to explain what happens, but a couple people were asking me if, like, I think my issue with novellas is their pacing is really off. This is why I didn't like the Every Heart a Doorway series by Shauna Maguire, is that the pacing is off. And I felt like in this book, the parts that I wish had more exploration was only given like a page or two, while the parts that were really boring were given like a third of the book. And I was just kind of like, what the fuck? It was just, I really enjoyed this character, and I might read the rest of the series because I want to see what she does and where she goes with this. But I just didn't like how this book was paced. The pacing just really took it away from me. The story was alright. I thought it was kind of, I don't know, it didn't hook me. I thought it was kind of lame, not gonna lie. But yeah, it's not my favorite. I don't know if I would recommend it. I guess if you like novellas, maybe, but it just wasn't, I didn't like it myself. Next 2-star book I read was Love is Love. This is the anthology that came out for after the Orlando shooting. Now, only reason why I gave this 2 stars, I gave this 2 stars for 2 reasons. One is that this book claimed to have equality for everybody, and it really didn't, which kind of really irked me. I understand that this book was made for the proceeds, and I checked it out from the library, and I was glad I read it and was able to support it in that way. But my issue was that this was supposed to kind of show, like, basically love is love, and love in every kind of fashion is beautiful and she needs to be celebrated and just be accepted. But there were no stories of trans main characters. Maybe one. There was no stories talking about anyone who is bisexual. There is no stories talking about anyone who is asexual or aromantic or pansexual or literally any other aspect of being queer that wasn't lesbian or gay, which I have a big problem with, because it just kind of gave into that narrative saying that only lesbian and gay is what kind of love we should care about, and I have a huge problem with that. It just gave off that vibe throughout the whole comic anthology, and I was like looking through it like, where are these stories? And I didn't see any of them, which I'm not the only person saying this. There's a lot of people on this in Goodreads reviews, which I looked through to see. I'm like, am I missing something? No, a lot of other people were thinking this as well. My other issue with this was that a good portion, maybe about half of the stories in this book, were told from straight white men basically saying, oh, this is what I'm going to tell my kids about homosexuality or the LGBT people, and like, all love is great, which I understand that I was cool with having a couple in, but do we need half of the comics to be about that? Shouldn't we have this anthology series also help showcase some queer comic book writers and authors to help showcase them? But a large portion of the people who wrote in this book, I haven't done the math of exactly what percent, but a big portion weren't queer at all, which also gives me an issue. Like, it just irked me and made me feel slimy after reading it, and I don't know if I would recommend it. I read this right before Pride Month to kind of get me in the feeling, and it just really didn't. It really missed the ball for me. Alright, so this one's actually a 2.5 star book, and I want to kind of go into this one more. This one is marked by PC Cast and Kristen Cast, so I give this 2.5 stars. I put this on audiobook. Now, I have very weird conflicting feelings, which is why I gave this 2.5 stars with this book. There is a lot of problematic stuff with it. There's a lot with this book. But I enjoyed myself the entire time, which, okay, let me go into what this book is about. Let me look it up, because god damn it, I've already forgotten. So we have our main character, Zoe. She's 16 years old, and basically, one day in high school, she gets marked as a vampire, and in the society, vampires are well known. Kind of vampirism is kind of like puberty, where you kind of become some people randomly become vampires in puberty, and some don't survive the change from human to vampire, but some do, so they go to like a specific school called the House of Night to kind of learn about vampirism and learn about all these kinds of things. So she gets a mark, but her mark is different. It's more elevated. Her mark, there's different rankings of people beforehand, but her mark basically shows that she looks like she's already a vampire, which has never been seen from someone who is brand new and is not actually a vampire yet, but transitioning. And the premise is awesome. I want to talk a little bit more about this. This one I might be talking a lot about, but the representation in this book. Our main character is Native American. I don't know if she's full or mixed, and I can't tell you. When I was trying to look into if either of the authors were Native American, I didn't see anything telling me that they were, so I can't tell you if that is a good representation or not. But there are some questionable descriptions in this book. All of the black characters were described as having kind of coffee complexion skin. Even from what I'm listening to the second book, they talk about this a lot. And one character kind of had their skin was compared to having cheap coffee color. And it really just I was like, ew. Why do the people of color get described like this, but everyone else is like, oh my gosh, they have beautiful flowing hair and they're so pretty, and everyone's like, they look like cheap coffee. Bitch, this person's supposed to be your friend. Why are you describing them in such a horrid way? I don't know. All of the characters were very stereotypical. We had, our stereotypical gay friend. We had her roommate is a stereotypical Southern girl. We have just stereotypical black girl. We have everyone stereotypical mean girl. Everyone's a stereotype. Even our main character, who's a I'm like other girls and like everyone else sucks. And I could have there's so much slut shaming in this book, so much girl hate, where it gets annoying. And like to the point where someone says like, oh my gosh, I kissed a boy once at night, I'm such a slut, I hope people don't think that I'm a whore. And I'm like, maybe it's just the time period, because I know this book came out, when did this book come out? This book came out in 2007 and I was 9, so I don't remember how people spoke, but maybe that speech was on the rise during that time, so I don't want to speak on that, but let me know if that's the case. But it just irked me a little bit, but I really enjoyed the premise and the plot. I felt like we got to learn a lot about Zoe, and I freaking love her grandmother, by the way, and we got to see just everything that happened in the book was very interesting. I liked the ending. Romance could have, I didn't really care about the romance, but I really, just kind of the lore, the world building was really interesting to me, which is why I've continued on, and I want to see where this goes, and I want to see how everything builds and progresses, because I know the series is long, 12 books, so yeah, I know the series is long, and I kind of want to see where this goes, but I liked it. I can't say if I recommend it. This is very much a guilty pleasure read, very much so. So I only had 1 3-star during this time, and that was Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I'm gonna link our Page Tellers book club discussion for this, so I don't have to go into much detail, but I thought this was kind of lame. It was alright. I just don't want to go much into this since I already made a whole live show about it, so I'll link that up there if you want to see more about my feelings about that book. And all of our other co-hosts feels about the book, you can go watch that. On to the 4 stars. First one I read was actually a kind of a short story, and that's A Strange Library by Haruki Murakami. I was just wanted an audiobook to listen to, and I saw this was just readily available on Libby, so I listened to it. It was like an hour long, and I actually really enjoyed it. I know it starts off with this boy, he goes to the library just to check out an item, and shit goes down from there. I do recommend this if you just want a short story, or if you just, let's say you have to like drive somewhere and you're going to be in the car for an hour. This is a good audiobook to listen to. It was really interesting. I like Haruki Murakami's writing style, so that was also a plus. It was really good. So I recommend this if you guys are into it. I didn't want to go much into it since it is a short story, but it's really good. Next one I'm going to talk about is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. This was also a Page Dwellers book club pick. I will leave the live show linked up above so you guys can see our thoughts, but I did really enjoy this. I don't want to talk about this again because, again, there's a live show that you guys can watch to hear our thoughts. But yeah, that's it. I don't feel like talking about it. I don't know why. Alright, so my 4.5 star read, which I had originally rated 5 stars, but then I thought about it more and realized it is a 4-star read. And that's Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I got the cute UK edition. It talks about Daisy Jones and the Six, which is a band. First off, it's just Daisy Jones, and then a band called the Six, and you kind of see basically the birth of both groups, how they collide and how they all inevitably end. I thought this book was really interesting. I listened to this on audiobook, and what I really liked about this is that all the characters just felt real. And I think that's what Taylor Jenkins Reid really specializes. I don't know, this is my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book, so take that with a grain of salt. But I really like that. I don't agree with all the decisions all of them made. The reason why I gave it 0.5 stars is that I really thought that Eddie's perspective didn't need to be in the book at all. Like, you could have just said that, like, oh, he didn't want to be there for comment, because it really didn't add anything. In a lot of ways, it took away from the story, Eddie's perspective. And I don't know if anyone else feels the same way. I didn't like Eddie. I didn't care what he had to say. And I didn't think he added anything, his perspective. So I didn't like that aspect. There were some parts that were just slow, but I can understand. This is a very character-based book, so that's just my perspective. Like, I wish there was more plot, but that's okay. But yeah, I do like this book. If you do like character-driven stories, I do really like this one aspect of this book where I love seeing people be creative. And like people's creative process, because it's so different for everybody, especially depending on what you're doing. And you saw a lot of Daisy and Billy writing music and their just kind of weird, quirky way of actually creating these awesome songs. And it was just so nice to see what they were doing. And I don't know, it really gets me off just to see people's creative process, because it really just gets me going. It makes me want to create things, and that's all I care about. So yeah, I did really enjoy this book, and I recommend it to y'all. Alright, so my 5 stars. I read 3 5-star books, and I love every freaking one of them, so we're just gonna get straight into it. First one I read was actually like a thriller, and I've really been, I don't know, I've rated 2 books, 2 thrillers 5 stars this year, which like never happens, but you know, we'll see. It's The Chalkman by C.J. Tudor. This book is bomb. Basically, this takes kind of place in 2 different year timelines. There's one in 1986 where our main character Eddie is 12 years old, and one in 2016 where he is trying to do math. 86, 96, 2006. He'd be 42. He'd be 42. And you see, basically, in 1986, him and his friends were just kind of living it up in that summer. And they start doing these Chalkman drawings, and there's a lot of stuff that happens, murder, and a lot of creepy stuff just starts to happen. And in 2016, someone basically mails all of their friend group a letter just with the Chalkman in it. And they're basically figuring out who the hell knows about the Chalkman and what happened. And this book got dark. A lot of things happened. It was really, I was always constantly surprised, like, oh shit. And what I really liked about this, especially that I kind of really liked about different, how CJ Tudor really did it. It's just kind of like a formatting thing that I really tend to like, is that when chapters kind of end in a specific way, kind of intrigue you in a way. So let me read you the last sentence in the first chapter. This is the first chapter. Kind of telling me like why I think this is. So the last sentence is, they were wrong. Mr. Halloran, oh, these are the last 2 sentences, whatever. It says, they were wrong. Mr. Halloran was many things, but normal was not, never one of them. So like those sentences like that were like at the end of each chapter, where it really was like, oh shit, why was he not normal? Like, I'm curious of like, what does this happen? Like, what does this mean? And it's just really curious. Like, it just keeps me on my seat and keeps me hooked on saying like, what do they mean by that? And it was just it's such a fun read. It creeped me out a little bit because I read most of it at night, which was a bad idea, but I really did enjoy my time with that book. Next one I read was Persepolis, by the complete Persepolis, to be specific, by Marjane Satrapi. Satrapi? I suck. Basically, this is a graphic novel memoir by, of course, Marjane. This talks a lot about Iran and the conflict that has happened in there. It shows her childhood in Iran, and then shows how when she went abroad and came back. And this book was very powerful. I actually learned a lot about the conflicts through reading this book, and a lot that I just didn't know. I didn't know about the culture. I was always curious about, like, I wonder how it would be if you grew up during that time, and you seeing everything happening. And of course, she grew up during that time and saw how all this was happening. It was very emotional and hard-hitting, and it was really good. I heard this was turned into a movie, and I kind of wanted to go see the movie. I'm just curious to see how it was done. But this was really good. This is kind of one of those books that I think that everyone needs to read, especially in this climate. I know this book came out, I think, over a decade ago, but I think that this is just a story that people need to read. This book is still really relevant today, and I think people just need to see this more. Okay, my last 5-star book. I just finished this like 2 days ago, so I finished it the last day in June, and one of my favorites of this year, I can tell you already, maybe my favorite. It is We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faizal. This freaking book did it. Oh my god. I have not been so happy about a fantasy book since I read The False Prince. which was in 2016. I have not loved a fantasy book that much since 2016. That's crazy. But this book was so amazing all throughout the story. So how I explain it to me, because I actually didn't know what this book was about when I got into it. So we follow two characters. We have Saphira, and she is a hunter who basically, she's a hunter, but no one knows that she's a woman, so she kind of gets in disguise, and she goes and hunts in the R's, which is like this like magical woods that people kind of die in all the time, and she hunts to feed her village. And one day she's approached by this like silver witch to say, hey, can you go get this book from this island to bring magic back so this forest can disappear and everyone can be prosperous again. And she was like, yeah, sure, why not, and goes on this mission. Number two, or our second perspective, is Nazir. Oh, Daddy Poppy Nazir, sorry. But Nazir is basically what he's called is the Prince of Death. He is a assassin, which is basically assassin. And he basically kills people for his father. And he's also approached to basically go to this island and kill the hunter. And once the hunter finds the book that brings back magic, and then bring it back to his father, the Sultan. And god damn, this book was so good. That just is the starting premise. It's a quest book. I fucking love quests, and just everything goes more than that. I loved all of our characters. I loved Nasir. Okay, my camera stopped recording. I don't know at what point, but I was saying how much I love I was saying how much I love these characters. I loved Zafira and Nazir and Altair and Benjamin, and I loved them all. They all had their own faults. They were all not perfect characters, and that's what I really loved about this. I fell in love with Nazir like first chapter. He killed someone for breathing, and that's all I wanted. And I was like, hello. I also fell in love with Zafira, like, hello, my book boyfriend and my book girlfriend are in this book, and they kind of, yes. The ending shooketh. I just have two small qualms, but like there are things that can be easily thing. The first act is kind of slow, so that's just something to come into, just so you know. It didn't bother me. There was like this weird ice cream eating scene at the in the start with Zafira. It was weird, but it wasn't a huge problem with me. But there's one thing that just I wish was added to this book, is that I found on the website for, I think it was Hafsa's actual like website, was that there is a glossary for this book and a pronunciation guide, which was so helpful, but it's not in this book. And that's my only qualm. I wish that the glossary was actually in the book. It could have been in the back, but that would have helped me, because I was reading the first part and at some points I was like, what the fuck does this mean? And I had to go physically on my phone to go look at the glossary, which kind of just took me out of the story a little bit. And I was talking with my other co-host, because this is our Page Dwellers book club for June. We moved our live show into July because we had a lot of scheduling conflicts. So we'll be talking about this one with our July book as well. And I know a couple of other people are the group members are feeling the same way, just like I wish the glossary was just in the book. That's something that could easily be fixed, that that doesn't affect the actual quality story in this book. But god damn, this feels like, you know how some people have their specific book, like this is my Night Circus, this is my hating game, like this is my book and I will die on that hill. Hafsa already like started sneaking peeks for book 2, and I am ready. It comes out May of 2020 and I will pre-order it, and god damn it. I just really love this book. But yeah guys, that is my wrap up for this month. This is a long clip. It's gonna be a long video, but that's okay. I don't think anybody cares. But yeah, that's it for today guys. I will go back to doing actual monthly wrap-ups, so we don't have long-ass videos like this of me ranting and rambling about random stuff. But yeah, so that's it guys. I will see you in another video. Bye.